Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Talk Time.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Hello, and welcome back to English Talk Time. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to have you here with us today for another clear and friendly English practice video designed for everyday listening and speaking.
Hi everyone, I'm Noah, and I'm here with Olivia, and together we're happy to spend this time practicing English with you.
On this channel, we make videos to help you practice real everyday English through simple conversations you can listen to and use.
Please like and subscribe. If you enjoy the video, it really helps the channel.
Today, we're going to talk about how to connect sentences in English naturally using very common words like and, but, so because, and or, so you can stop speaking in short, broken sentences, and start sounding smoother and more confident when you talk about your day, your work, your routines, your decisions, and small problems with people around you.
We'll start by listening to a natural conversation where these connectors are used again and again in everyday situations. Then we'll look at a few clear and practical examples after that. We'll review some very useful phrases you can copy. And later we'll practice together step by step so you can really feel the flow in your own speaking. So take a breath, relax, and let's get started.
How are you today, really, as you sit down and listen? Because sometimes we're fine, sometimes we're tired, and sometimes we're somewhere in the middle, and it's all okay.
I'm doing all right today. Not amazing, but not bad either, and I feel a little slow this morning. Maybe because the day just started and my mind is still waking up.
That makes sense. Mornings can feel quiet and slow, especially when you're thinking about what you need to do later or how busy the day might become.
Yes, exactly. I woke up, had a simple breakfast, looked outside for a moment, and just tried to feel calm before starting anything important.
That sounds nice. Taking a small moment like that can help you feel more relaxed before the day really moves forward.
The weather here is pretty calm today, not too hot and not too cold, and that makes me feel more comfortable when I step outside or think about going somewhere.
I like days like that too, when the weather doesn't ask too much from you, and you can just move through your day without thinking about it too much.
Later today, I'm planning to do a few simple things. Nothing special, just some work, maybe a short walk, and then relaxing at home.
That sounds like a balanced day, not too full and not empty, just enough to keep you moving and still give you space to rest.
Yes, I'm trying to keep things simple recently, because when I try to do too much, I feel tired quickly and lose focus.
I understand that feeling, and many people feel the same way, especially when days start to feel very busy or noisy.
Talking like this feels nice, actually, because it's easy to listen to, and I don't feel rushed to say anything perfect.
I'm glad to hear that. And that calm listening feeling is exactly what we want before we move into today's main conversation together. Okay, let's really start now and talk about connecting sentences in English, because this is where our main conversation begins and where you'll hear how ideas can flow together more naturally.
Yes, that sounds good. I'm ready, so let's get started and see how people actually connect sentences when they speak.
So let's start with something very normal and easy, like talking about your daily routine, because this is something people talk about all the time with friends, family, and coworkers, even in very short conversations.
Okay, that feels comfortable, because I talk about my day a lot, but sometimes I feel like my sentences stop too fast and don't really flow.
That's very common, and a simple way to help is by gently connecting ideas instead of stopping. So let me ask you, what do you usually do in the morning?
Well, I wake up around 7, I check my phone, I get out of bed, and then I make some coffee.
That's good. And listen to this small change. You can say, I wake up around 7 and I check my phone. Then I get out of bed and make some coffee, which sounds more connected and relaxed.
Oh, I see, so I don't need to change my ideas, I just need to link them together.
Exactly. You're saying the same things, but now they feel like one smooth thought instead of many short ones.
After that, I usually feel a bit slow, but I still start working because I don't want to be late.
That's a nice example already, and you used it naturally, because you're showing a contrast between feeling slow and still starting work.
Yes, I feel tired in the morning, but I know I need to begin, so I just do it.
Perfect. And notice how it also works there, because you're showing a result, like, I feel tired, so I start slowly.
That sounds very natural, actually, and it feels easier than thinking about grammar rules.
Exactly. We're not thinking about rules here. We're just helping ideas stay together while you speak.
In the afternoon, I eat lunch at home because it's quieter and I can relax for a few minutes.
That's a great sentence. And you used it because clearly, which helps the listener understand your reason without extra explanation.
Sometimes I eat quickly, or sometimes I take my time, depending on how busy I am.
Niece. That's, or doing its job, showing a simple choice in a very natural way.
When I talk like this, I feel less nervous, because my sentences don't feel broken anymore.
Exactly. And that calm feeling is what we want, because connected sentences help your routine sound clear, easy, and confident. Now let's move into work or study situations, because this is another place where people often speak in short sentences, especially when they feel busy or a little stressed.
Yes, that's true for me, because at work I often say one short thing, then stop, then say another short thing, and it feels a bit uncomfortable.
That's very normal, and connecting those short ideas can make you sound calmer and clearer. So let me ask you, what does a normal workday look like for you?
I usually start work in the morning, I check my emails, I answer a few messages, and then I focus on my main tasks.
That's a perfect example, and you can gently connect it by saying, I start work in the morning and check my emails, then I answer a few messages and focus on my main tasks.
Oh, that sounds smoother, and it feels easier to listen to when you say it like that.
Exactly, because the listener doesn't have to work hard to follow your ideas, they just flow naturally.
Sometimes my work is quiet, but sometimes it's very busy, and I have to move quickly.
That's great. But is perfect there, because you're showing two different situations in a clear and simple way.
When it's busy, I feel a little stressed, so I try to make a small plan and take things one step at a time.
That sounds very natural, and so helps explain the result of feeling stressed without adding extra words.
I also like working at my desk because it's comfortable, and I can focus better there.
Yes, and because it gives your listener a clear reason, which makes your sentence feel complete and easy to understand.
Sometimes I work alone, or sometimes I work with other people, depending on the task.
Niece. That's a simple and natural choice sentence, and you didn't need to explain anything more.
When I connect my sentences like this, I feel more confident speaking to coworkers because I don't stop so often.
Exactly. And that confidence comes from letting your ideas stay together while you speak, even in busy work or study moments. Let's talk about decisions now, because this is a very common situation where people pause a lot or stop speaking when they're trying to explain what they chose or why they chose it.
Yes, I feel that because when I talk about decisions, I often think too much, and then my sentences come out very short.
That happens to many people, so let's keep it simple, and I'll ask you an easy question. How do you decide what to do in the evening after work?
Well, sometimes I want to go out, sometimes I want to stay home, and sometimes I'm not sure.
That's very natural, and you can connect that by saying, sometimes I want to go out, but sometimes I want to stay home, so I take a moment to think.
Oh, I like that because it sounds like one clear idea instead of many small ones.
Exactly, and you didn't add anything new, you just helped the listener follow your thinking.
If I feel tired, I stay home because I want to rest and feel better the next day.
That's a great sentence, and because it makes your reason very clear and calm.
If I feel energetic, I meet a friend, or I go for a short walk outside.
Niece. That's a simple choice, and or sounds very natural there.
Sometimes I want to do two things, but I only have time for one, so I choose the easier option.
That's a perfect example, because you used but to show a small problem and so to show your decision.
When I explain my choices like this, people understand me faster, and I don't feel rushed.
Exactly, because connected sentences help your listener stay with you from start to finish.
I notice that I feel more relaxed when I speak, because I'm not stopping after every idea.
That's an important feeling, and it shows that connecting sentences isn't about perfect English. It's about clear and comfortable communication.
Yes, it feels more like real conversation and less like building sentences one by one.
Exactly. And that's why these small connectors help so much when you're talking about everyday decisions. Now, let's talk about small problems, because this is another very common moment where people speak in short sentences and feel a little stuck when they try to explain what happened.
Yes, that's true for me, because when something goes wrong, even in a small way, I often feel nervous and my words come out slowly.
That's completely normal, so let's take an easy example. What do you usually say when you have a small problem during the day?
For example, yesterday I was late, the bus didn't come on time, and I felt stressed.
That's a perfect situation, and you can connect it by saying, I was late because the bus didn't come on time, so I felt stressed, which sounds calm and clear.
Oh, that sounds much better, because it explains the whole situation without stopping.
Exactly. And notice how the listener understands the reason and the result very easily.
Sometimes my internet is slow, and I can't finish my work quickly.
That's a good sentence already, and helps add the second idea in a very natural way.
I feel annoyed, but I try to stay calm and wait.
Nice, but works well there, because you're showing a contrast between how you feel and what you do.
If the problem is small, I wait, or I try again later.
Exactly. That's a simple choice, and you didn't need many words to explain it.
When I talk about problems like this, people listen and understand, and I don't feel embarrassed.
That's important, because everyone has small problems, and speaking about them clearly helps conversations feel normal and relaxed.
I also notice that I don't need to explain everything, because the connectors already show the relationship between ideas.
Exactly. And that's why connecting sentences is so helpful when you're talking about everyday problems at work, at home, or with friends.
It feels more like telling a simple story instead of reporting problems one by one.
Yes. And that storytelling feeling is what makes your English sound more natural and easier to follow. Now let's look at short personal stories, because this is where connecting sentences really helps, especially when you want to explain what happened in a simple and natural way.
Yes, telling stories is hard for me, because I often say one sentence, stop, think, and then continue, and it doesn't feel smooth.
That's very common, so let's try a very small story together, something simple, like what you did last weekend.
Okay, last weekend I stayed at home, I cleaned my room, and I watched a movie.
That's a great start, and you can connect it by saying, I stayed at home and cleaned my room, then I watched a movie, which sounds like one clear story.
Oh, that feels much nicer, because it sounds complete.
Exactly. And now let's add one feeling. How did you feel after that?
I felt tired, but I was happy, because everything was clean and quiet.
That's perfect, because you used, but for contrast, and because for the reason, and the story feels very natural.
Let me try another one. Yesterday I met a friend. We talked for a long time, so I got home late.
Very nice. And notice how it clearly shows the result without extra explanation.
Yes, and it feels easier to keep talking when the ideas are connected.
Exactly. And that's why connectors are so useful in short stories, even when nothing special happens.
Sometimes my stories are about small problems, like I wanted to go out, but it started raining, so I stayed home.
That's a great mini story, because everything is clear and easy to follow.
I notice that when I speak like this, people don't interrupt me, because they understand where the story is going.
Yes, and connected sentences help your listeners stay with you from the beginning to the end.
It feels less stressful, because I'm not searching for perfect words, just linking simple ideas.
Exactly. And that relaxed feeling is what makes your English sound more natural in real conversations.
I like that these stories are short, because I don't feel pressure to say too much.
That's right. Even short stories sound good when your sentences are gently connected. Now let's slow down for a moment and look at how all of this feels together, because we've talked about routines, work, decisions, problems, and small stories, and the connectors quietly helped in every situation.
Yes, I notice that now, because even though the situations were different, the way we connected sentences felt very similar each time.
Exactly. And that's an important point, because you don't need new English for every situation. You just reuse the same simple connectors again and again.
When I think about my day now, I don't see many separate sentences. I see one long flow of ideas.
That's a great way to describe it, and that flow helps you sound calmer and more confident when you speak.
For example, I can say, I worked in the morning and I felt tired, so I took a short break, and it feels very natural.
Exactly. And you didn't plan that sentence, you just let the ideas connect naturally.
Before, I would stop after each idea, but now I feel like I can keep going without stress.
That's a big change. And it shows that fluency is about movement, not about perfect sentences.
I also notice that when I make a small mistake, I don't panic, because I can just continue speaking.
Yes, and that's very important, because real conversations don't stop for mistakes, they move forward.
When I talk to friends or coworkers, I can say simple things like, I was busy because I had a meeting, or I wanted to join, but I was late.
Those are perfect everyday examples, and they sound clear and natural.
It also feels easier to listen to other people, because I notice how they connect their ideas too.
Exactly. Listening and speaking support each other, and connectors help with both.
So, even if my English is simple, it doesn't feel broken anymore.
That's right. Simple English can sound very natural when ideas stay connected.
I feel more confident now because I know I don't need long sentences, just clear connections.
And that confidence is exactly what helps you enjoy real conversations more. Now let's stop the conversation for a moment and look at some very clear practical examples, because this is where you can really see and hear the difference between broken sentences and connected sentences in everyday spoken English.
Yes, I think this will help, because sometimes I don't notice the problem when I'm speaking, but I hear it when someone else speaks.
First, let's listen to a very common example of broken English when someone talks about their day, and listen carefully to how it sounds.
I woke up early. I was tired. I went to work. I had many emails. I felt stressed.
This English is not wrong, but it sounds very hard and uncomfortable to listen to, because every idea stops suddenly. So now, listen to the same ideas with simple connections.
I woke up early and I was tired, so I went to work feeling a bit stressed because I had many emails.
That sounds much smoother, and notice that the ideas are the same, but now they move together naturally. Now, let's look at a small problem, which is something people talk about every day.
My internet was slow. I couldn't finish my work. I felt annoyed. I waited.
Again, nothing is wrong, but it feels heavy, so now listen to the connected version.
My internet was slow, so I couldn't finish my work, but I waited and tried to stay calm.
That sounds clear and relaxed, and the listener understands the problem and the feeling very easily. Now let's try one together, and I'll help you connect it, so start with short sentences.
I was tired. I wanted to go out. I stayed home.
Good. Now let's gently connect those ideas.
I was tired, but I wanted to go out, so I stayed home.
Perfect. And now it sounds like real spoken English, not separate pieces.
I can really hear the difference now, because the connected sentences feel calmer and easier.
Exactly. And that's the goal here. Not longer English or harder English, but smoother English that helps your listener follow your ideas without effort. Now let's pause the conversation for a moment and look at some very useful phrases we've already been using, because hearing them clearly like this can help you notice and remember them when you speak.
Yes, this feels helpful because I recognize these words, but I don't always feel confident using them smoothly.
That's completely okay. So let's start with a very simple one, and which we use when we want to add one idea to another idea. A short example is, I woke up early and I felt tired. And a slightly longer one is, I woke up early and I felt tired, so I made some coffee and sat quietly for a few minutes.
That sounds very natural because it feels like the sentence keeps moving.
Exactly. Now let's look at but, which we use when two ideas are different or don't match. A short example is, I was tired, but I worked, and a longer one is, I was tired, but I worked anyway because I didn't want to be late.
I like that one because it sounds very real.
Good. Now let's look at so, which helps show a result or what happens next. A short example is, it was raining, so I stayed home, and a longer one is, it was raining, so I stayed home and watched a movie to relax.
That feels easy to follow.
Exactly. Now let's move to because, which helps explain a reason. A short example is, I stayed home because I was tired, and a longer one is, I stayed home because I was tired and wanted a quiet evening.
That sounds calm and clear.
Finally, let's look at or, which we use when there is a choice. A short example is, I'll call you or I'll message you, and a longer one is, I'll call you or I'll message you later, depending on how busy I am.
Hearing them like this makes them feel easier to use.
Exactly. And these simple connectors are enough to make your everyday English sound smoother and more natural. Now, let's look at something very important for fluency, which is using natural pauses instead of always using words like and or because. Because, in real spoken English, people often pause instead of connecting everything with words.
Yes, I notice that native speakers do this a lot, but I'm never sure when it's okay for me to pause instead of using a connector.
That's a great observation. And the good news is that pauses are very normal in English, especially when the ideas are already clear and simple. For example, you can say, I woke up early and I felt tired, which sounds good. But you can also say, I woke up early, I felt tired, and both sound natural in conversation.
Oh, that feels easier because I don't always need to choose the perfect word.
Exactly. And pauses often sound very natural when you're telling a short story or listing simple events from your day. Listen to this. I got to work late because the bus was slow. And now listen to the paused version. I got to work late, the bus was slow.
Both sound clear, but the second one feels more relaxed.
Yes, and that relaxed feeling is very common in spoken English, especially with friends or coworkers. Pauses are also helpful when you're thinking, because instead of stopping completely, you can pause briefly and continue.
That makes me feel less nervous because I don't have to rush my sentence.
Exactly, and you can mix pauses and connectors naturally like, I wanted to go out, but it started raining, so I stayed home.
That sounds very real, like something people actually say.
Yes. And the key idea here is that you don't need to connect every idea with a word, because sometimes a small pause already does the job.
I like that because it makes speaking feel more natural and less stressful.
Exactly. And using pauses like this helps your English sound calm, clear, and confident in real conversations. Now let's practice together, step by step, because this is where you can really feel how connecting sentences works in your own speaking. So listen first, then repeat after us when you see the pause.
Don't worry about being perfect here. Just speak clearly and keep going, because the goal is smooth flow, not perfect sentences.
Let's start very small, with a short and simple connection. So please repeat after me. I was tired and I stayed home.
Good, now let's say it one more time together. I was tired and I stayed home.
Now, we'll use the same idea, but with a different connector, so repeat after me. I was tired, so I stayed home.
Nice. And again, slowly and calmly, I was tired, so I stayed home.
Great. Now, let's build it a little, but keep it comfortable, so please repeat. I was tired because I worked all day, so I stayed home.
That's good. And if it feels long, that's okay. So let's try it once more together. I was tired because I worked all day, so I stayed home.
Now let's practice connecting two sentences, which is very common in real conversations, so listen first. I wanted to go out, but I was tired. I stayed home and relaxed. And now repeat after me.
Good. And notice how the pause helps, so let's try it again slowly. I wanted to go out, but I was tired. I stayed home and relaxed.
Now let's try a short mini dialogue together. So listen first, and then repeat each line after the pause. Ooh, how was your day?
It was busy, but it was good.
Why was it busy?
I had many meetings, so I felt tired at the end.
That was excellent. And remember, you don't need to speak fast. You just need to keep your ideas connected.
Yes, And even short sentences can sound very natural when you connect them or use a small pause.
Exactly. So, take this feeling with you. Speak calmly, connect your ideas, and trust that your English can flow naturally. So let's take a moment to wrap up what we practiced today, because we spent this time learning how to connect simple ideas in English using words like and but, so because, and or. And we practiced doing this while talking about daily routines, work situations, small decisions, problems, and short personal stories.
Yes. And now you can hear how your English can sound smoother and calmer when your ideas stay together instead of stopping after every sentence.
Exactly. And now you can talk about your day, your work, and your experiences in simple English with more flow and confidence, even if your sentences are not long or perfect.
For today's question of the day, we'd love to hear from you, so tell us in the comments, what did you do today? And try to connect your ideas using and, but, so, because, or.
Write just 1 or 2 sentences if you like, because we read your comments and enjoy seeing how you practice.
Please like and subscribe. If you enjoyed learning with us, it really helps the channel.
Thanks so much for practicing English with us today. Keep speaking calmly, keep connecting your ideas, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.